Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to make some really fun embellishments. And here you can see I use this on a scrapbook page. I'm going to show you how to make these fun ticket strips. And here I have it on a slimline card. So there's a lot of different ways you can use these for your art journal pages, for your scrapbooks, for your card making. And they are so fun and easy to make, and you don't need any special tools. So the first thing you're going to need is a piece of ivory cardstock, or you can use white cardstock, but I like to use an ivory or a cream just to get a vintage look. And you're going to want something to protect your work surface because we're going to get kind of messy. So I've just got my my large background. One of these days I'm going to like take this background paper and I'm just going to make a card with it or something, because I mean, look at this. I think my background papers sometimes are like the prettiest things. I don't know, maybe die cut it or something, who can say. And then you'll just need a variety of stamps, and you don't have to have anything in particular. You just need to make some marks on your paper. I thought this would be a great use for a roller stamp. I've also got a binder of vintage stamps around here that I might dig into. And we're going to start off with some waterproof ink, and I am going to use my Ranger Archival ink for this. You can use black or brown, and I think I am going to use brown. And you're going to cover the whole sheet of cardstock. And don't worry about this being neat, because by the time we're done, you're not really going to recognize any of the prints that you have down here. You can go in different directions. I mean, seriously, you do not have to worry about a thing. Just want to cover that paper with ink. I think this can be very freeing, because I think a lot of times we're just like so nervous about collage stamping that, oh, everything's got to be perfect. It's got to be, you know, just right. It's got to be, you know, aesthetically pleasing. And for this, it doesn't. It can be however you want it to be. Do you remember these? Aren't they pretty? I think these were like the Rebecca Sauer, or I think they're from Ink and Ink and Do, but I think they were like Rebecca Sauer collection. I just thought it'd be fun to kind of stamp these down, because they are, they're kind of like tickets. They're actually dominoes, I think, domino designs. I'm not worried about anything being too bold, because I know most of this is just going to be kind of background when we're done. Scripts are really good for this. Anything like that. Let's see. Oh, I actually, when I started to do this project, I went and I'm like, I have this binder of vintage stamps. I think most of them are like Stampers Anonymous. And for whatever reason, I just never go into that binder. And I think it's because I have all my other vintage stamps arranged by whatever vintage theme they are. Like I have vintage sewing, vintage art supplies, vintage circus, all these like random, well, I guess they're not random because they're organized, vintage sewing patterns. You know, I have like crazy vintage binders because it's probably my most favorite genre. I have like Victorian vintage, stuff like that. And so I never think to go into the this fun binder here. And I think it's because all the storage sheets are that weird like smaller size, so they fit in a mini binder, so I just stuck them in a mini binder. But then I don't think to like even open up that binder and look for anything, so I either have to put them in with the general vintage stuff, or just, I don't know, remind myself to use this binder more, to get in there more often. Let's see. Ooh, there's that neat little film strip one. I might be able to put that onto this block. I'm going to have to clean all these stamps. They're pretty stained. I've used a lot of Ranger Archival and stuff like that on these, so they do get kind of stained. Now, when I show you how to make the ticket strips, you'll realize that you could actually cut the strips ahead of time and stamp them later if you want to, but this is much more efficient, and you're going to see that it doesn't matter what we stamp here. It's going to look good when we're done, and it really doesn't matter how you get there. But I like this because you'll have a bunch of like ticket strips already like almost done for you to decorate when you're doing your projects. You don't even have to worry about things being right side up. All right, we've filled this pretty well. I hope it hasn't been too boring. I love stuff like this. I think it's totally fun. Okay, I think that's good. We've got a nice base. That's what you're after. You're after basically just a nice coating of everything. Now, you can use a couple different things for this next step. If you have spray inks, use spray inks. If you don't have spray inks, use like just like smush an ink pad, like a distress ink pad or any sort of dye ink pad onto like a craft mat or a piece of wax paper or freezer paper or something, and then just drag your paper through it. But since I have sprays, I'm going to use them. This is a homemade one. This is just walnut ink and some mica. I'm going to try to keep my spraying to my table here. Generally, I do this in a box. And I'm also going to use some Distress Oxides. I have, I'm going to keep it to real muted colors because I want this to be able to match anything. Now with your Distress Oxide sprays, I recommend you wipe actually with any of your sprays, I recommend you wipe the nozzle off with a wet rag before you cap it back up. And if they clog on you, sometimes they will, then just soak them in hot water. Take off the cap and the nozzle and just soak it in hot water. You might have to change the water a couple times to get it to flow again, but that will usually do the trick. I'll do some gold. I had to do that with my Delusions ink spray. I think it's an acrylic. I think that's why it clogs so bad. That's why I didn't get the, I didn't buy any of the Dina Wakley gloss sprays because I'm just afraid with a gloss acrylic spray they're going to clog. And I'm just impatient. So nothing against the product or anything, I just know me and I'm impatient and I don't think I would do very well with that. And this is an acrylic. This is a gold here. I'm just going to try to not overspray because I don't want it all over my mat. All right. Now, I kind of like this mottled effect. If you don't, you could brayer over it, smooth it out. You could spray water on it if it's too dark for you. If you want to get rid of some of the printing, you could spray on any opaque spray. I'll try a little bit of this white. And that's just going to kind of mute everything down. I really do like the gold. I think it just adds a really nice... And don't worry about... nice. I lost my train of thought. I just think it adds a really nice effect. And then you're just going to let it dry. You can add drips if you want to. It's really not going to, it's really not going to matter too much. If you're using all Distress Oxide, you could flick some water on there. I only have the Ice Spruce Distress Oxide in this, so the only place that would show any sort of effect like that would be the over the Ice Spruce area. You probably would want to let it dry first before flicking, but I'll just show you that. I really don't think it's going to show up that much on this type of cardstock because it's just a plain cardstock. But there, you could let it dry, and then you could flick and then let it dry again. So we need to let this dry completely, and then when we come back, I'm going to show you how to turn this into very cute little tickets that you can use for embellishments. Okay, this is all dry. I let it dry overnight, and as you can see, you can still make out some of the stamping underneath, but it's just an all-over background. So we're going to cut this into strips for our tickets. If you were going to make tickets that are all the same width, you could actually make the divisions between your tickets first, but I'm going to have some different size strips here, so I'm going to do that now. And I generally like, I like the 1.5" size tickets. That works really well. For like, well, pretty much for most things. So I want to do a couple that are that size. A couple 1.5". We'll do, I'm going to do 3 of those. I think that's a really nice size to have. I think that's probably my most useful size because you've got plenty of room to stamp stuff there. We'll do a 2" one. We could do 2 rows of 2" ones, but I think I'll do a couple 1" ones as well. I should have used the grid on there to to line me up because I think I got a little crooked, because usually I'll use a squaring arm, and I think the squaring arm is accurate. I'm not so sure about the area up here where you butt the things against, but this is going to be fine. Now what we're going to do is grab a scoring board. If you don't have a scoring board, you can use a ruler and a squishy mat. I'm going to use a scoring board, and I'm also going to use this little roly piercing tool. So if you have like a dressmaker's form, something like that, that will work really well. So for my 1.5 inch tickets, what I'm going to do is I'm just butting this up against the side, and I am going to do separations at every 3 inches. So I'm going to do one at 3. I'm going to put my little roller in the 3 section and roll it over. And then I'm going to go to the 6 section, roll it over. Then I'm going to go to the 9 section, and we'll have a little left over on this, and that's fine. Just make sure you're right in that groove. You could just take like a pen and make some marks in the groove if you want to. And then what you're going to do to make the tickets is you're going to use a small round punch, and I'd flip it over. You can actually cut your cardstock first and do all your stamping and stuff after, but it just saves a lot of materials and is a little quicker to do a sheet at a time. So what I did on the, I don't know if you can see this on the bottom of my punch, I made a little, I just kind of eyeballed it. I made a little mark at like, kind of like at the quarters, so I could line it up. It's not perfect, but it'll get the job done. And then I'm putting the edge of my paper at the edge marks that I made. So basically I'm punching halfway through at the piercing marks. And that's going to make our ticket shape. And you could be more precise, but you know, just to keep it the same. That's basically the thing. You don't even have to go this deep with your punch if you don't want to. You can go have it less than half. That's fine. But just try to keep it consistent. Now, this is a half size. I'll like actually just tear that like I did on my card. Did I do it? No, I did it on my scrapbook page. Here, I'll show you what I mean. So after you get it all decorated, you can just kind of tear it so it looks like it was a ticket that was misteared. So it's just kind of like funky and realistic looking. But if you have a full ticket length like you do at the beginning, what you want to do is just punch out a quarter. And there, you've got this neat ticket strip. So if I'm doing a wider one, say I'm doing one of the 2-inch wide strips, I want to make it a little bit wider than 3 inches. I'm going to do 3 1/4. Of course, you can make them whatever size you want, just rectangular. So I'll do 3 1/4. So then I'll do another 3 1/4 from there. So that would be 6 1/2. Whoops, and then it'll be 9 3/4 will be my next one. This is a great size for a scrapbook page. This is the size I did on the scrapbook page that I just showed you. But again, same thing, you flip it over and you do your punching. And I mean, you can do these in any theme. You could do a nature theme, kind of, that's what I'm going to do today. That's what I'll show you when we decorate it. You could do a steampunk theme. You could do a birthday theme. You could do a circus theme. You could do, you know, anything really. Circus theme works really well. Birthday theme works really well because, you know, you could put those on you could put those on birthday cards, or if you went to the circus or to the fair, you could use it on a scrapbook page, but there's a bigger one. And then for the tiny tickets, let's see, I haven't done any of the inch wide ones, but we could do 2 inches. That would work out really well. So again, we'll just get our little scorer here. It can be a little confusing, especially on a board like this that has so many marks, to get them in the right grooves, but I feel like this is going a little crooked on me. But honestly, guys, it is so forgiving because you've got so much crazy stamping and everything that, you know, it's just very, very forgiving. Now, you might want to go with a smaller punch if you are doing smaller tickets like this. So this is a handheld punch. This is, it's a little bigger than 1/4. You could do, and I'm just going to have to eyeball it because I can't see through them. So I'm just going to kind of like eyeball. So use what you have. If you don't have any punch, you could just kind of use your scissors and cut a little divot there, or, you know, be creative with it. Or you could even cut a notch. You could do just a little V-notch. I mean, that would work just fine. You could trace a template. I don't want to go quite half of the way in there. I think that looks a little bit too Crazy. It was funny when I started this project, I actually thought I had a ticket strip die and it was an embossing folder that I had, but I'm like, oh, this is even better because then I can do whatever size I want. All right, so there's a little one. Aren't those cute? Oh my gosh, I think those are just so adorable. And you can do whatever size you want. You can make them huge if you wanted to. And you can cut or tear these apart and make single ones. Like I had a leftover piece from one of them. I'm just looking, for my slimline card. So I just tore it off and look at that. It's a perfect little ticket for me to embellish for something else. So you can save all of those little scraps. And now let's decorate one of them because I think that'll be fun. I don't know. Do you want to do a big one or a medium size one? Let's do one of these because that would fit on a card. I'm probably more likely to make a card than another scrapbook page with a ticket on it. By the way, if you would like a tutorial on how I did the napkin decoupage here, let me know in the comments below and I can show you how to do that. It gives it a really beautiful texture using Mod Podge versus using like a saran wrap and an iron, and it's just a little more convenient for most people's craft rooms, I think. So let me know if you'd like to see a tutorial on that. I can certainly whip one up for you. All right, let's set this out of the way. We're going to work back on our messy paper here. And what I like to do if I'm going to stamp over this is I like to use embossing. I like to use like black ink and black embossing powder so I know it's going to stand up really well. And I'm also going to hit this with a my embossing powder bag here. This is just a little piece of fabric. I just sewed it into a pouch and I put cornstarch in it. That's all you have to do. Baby powder will work too. And that's just going to make sure that nothing sticks where I don't want it to. I'm going to use some black pigment ink here. And I want to stamp a couple things. I want to stamp a sentiment here because I'm going to do this for a card. And I'm going to stamp a butterfly. I think that would be really cute. I'm probably not going to end up needing that end piece, so I'll be able to tear that off if I want to. Actually, let's make sure that will fit. Yes, that will fit. Okay. And let's just go ahead and stamp and then we can emboss. We'll do that first. Let's make sure it's right side up. Actually, it doesn't really matter. You can just turn the whole thing around. I'm going to stamp that there. And I'm going to stamp a set of wings. These wings are from Prima, but you could do any sort of butterfly that you might already have. I'm going to stamp it a little bit like that. Okay. I couldn't find my piece of paper that I always emboss over. Oh, there it is. It's right there. Ha! Found it. Nice. I was like, I was looking and I was like blind. I could not see it. It was right there the whole time. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of black embossing powder. I used to, for like clear, I used to keep them in like Tupperware trays. I know a lot of people do that now. I used to do that a long time ago, but I found that some of my powders, if I didn't have them in their original container, eventually just went bad. So I don't think I used them up enough quickly to do that. So I would keep that in mind if you're considering going to like a Tupperware of embossing powder. I would only do that for the colors you use a lot because, especially if you live in a moist climate, a humid climate, I think your powders could go bad a lot more easily that way. I think just black pigment powder would probably just, pigment ink would stand up on this enough without having to emboss it, like if you just heat set it. However, if you use some acrylic sprays in the background like I did, I'm just afraid that it might not dry. The acrylic might be non-porous enough to keep that ink wet on the surface. So that's why I'm just doing the embossing, just to make sure it's not going to smudge, and I'm going to get a nice dark image there. There we go. Something else I think that would be really pretty to put on these, and I just got them in the mail yesterday because I just ordered them, with these cute little washi tapes. They're all postage themed, so I'm hoping I can get an end really easily here. And they're a very matte kind of vellum sticker, and I just thought they were so pretty when I saw them. There were 8 rolls of different themes, and it was like $14, I think, and I just thought they were so pretty. So I think I'll take this one here. It's a little bee and it says believe. Oh, I think I'll stick it over here because I think I might tear that piece off actually. Oh, it's a queen bee. It's got a crown. I can't cover that up. That's cute. And do I want to do another one? I've got a lot. This one has like kind of foliage. So I think I will try one of these. It's kind of nice because you know, it's kind of random. You can just take the next one in the row and just what you get is what you get. That is if I can peel it up without it tearing. I'll link to these in case anyone's interested. Actually, little bits of any washi tape or any like postage stamps that you might have saved from envelopes would be really pretty to collage on here. And you could actually put this on first and then stamp over it, which I think would be really pretty. I don't know if that first one's going to make it. That first one got a little torn. I hope the edges on these do all right because if I feel like they want to tear a little bit. Let's see. Because I'm pretty sure, yeah, I definitely could have, I could have stamped over this because these are matte enough. Let's see, I'm just wondering where I might want to put that. Yeah, I wish I put these on first, actually. I'm just going to tear that off. I don't like how that's kind of torn. And then what I'll do is I will snip this and fold it around the back. I might just have to fold that one around. And again, if you're doing this with just like old postage stamps, you could. I want to save some of that. Let me just. Ooh, this tears and conforms to the edges really well. I like that. Yeah, you could definitely just collage that on there. All right, so I think I want to put like a little charm on my little butterfly there. Oh, I think that's kind of cute. I grabbed a few charms. I wasn't sure what I might want to use. This is actually, that's way too big. Let's do that. Let's do a little string there. Oh, before we get too carried away with doing that, let's ink our edges. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to tear that one off because I think I'll use this on a card, so I won't want that extra piece. Let's see. Maybe we'll do some pink because I like that pink there. I also have some die cuts and some stamped images. So, like, I had done a comparison of, like, all my water-soluble crayon pastel type things, and I really forgot how much I enjoyed using gelatos, and some people had asked me about, like, doing some techniques with gelatos because I had them. And so, like, I kept running back and forth to grab gelatos for different projects. I'm like, my bucket. I'm just bringing my bucket in here because I have gone back like 5 times this week just to get gelatos or something. Now, it's really important for realism to bend your tickets and just kind of add a little bit of that. Add some of your gelato to that. That's really going to help it stand out. I like that pink. This pink has a little bit of shimmer to it. This is actually a cheap gel stick. It's not even a gelato. I think those are fabulous as well. I'm going to use this brown gelato as well. Rather than an ink pad, I think these just blend so well, and might as well. I got them out. They're kind of waxy, so I like to do them after I've gotten anything stuck, like any like stickers and stuff, because that would definitely mess up the adhesion. And, you know, if you don't have a paper piercer or anything, you don't want to poke holes, you could definitely just use a scoring tool or just like a butter knife. Or if you have a dressmaker's wheel, like if you have a sewing, I don't know if that's going to stay very well in there, but it's going to be glued to a card, so I think it'll be fine. Another thing that I've been using, which is kind of probably silly, but I've just been like, oh, use it or lose it, Lindsay. This fascinator, this is just like this fancy stapler from back in the day of scrapbooking. I got it as a gift. And I never really used it that much because it'd be frustrating because I would go to like put this on the scrapbook layout and then it would not go through all the layers, and then I would have like it would just be kind of frustrating because I would have I'd be scrapbooking and then I'd want to like attach something onto my layout with this because it was a long reach, so you could staple wherever you want your layout, but then it wouldn't go, and like it wouldn't go through all the layers, and it would come out crooked, and then you make a hole in there for nothing, and I would just get so frustrated. So I never used it much, but I'm just trying to like either use it or lose it, you know, like really just justify keeping some of these things or not. Let's see, do I want to use gelato to color the wings there? And do I want purple? I'm not sure what color I want. I also was thinking I stamped this butterfly, and I thought I might use that with it, but I think that's kind of too big. Or I could just put it there. I could just do that. I mean, that would work. That would work, but I also like the idea of having this key. I guess it just depends on what you like. I also some little, oh, you know what, I really kind of like that now that I look at it. Yeah, I'm going with that. I really like that. I think I'll use some thick glue for that. You could use hot glue, definitely. My glue gun is, actually my daughter Lila borrowed it. It's in her room, I think. I have several. I should just get out another one. Get out a low temp for paper crafting. I am going to try to get some on the wings. Hopefully it'll marry up enough. So this will be all ready to go on like a slimline card or something. So I'm just going to put that right over there. I decided that I preferred this. That happens sometimes. Only add a little embossing powder, not a big deal. And you can clip that, or you can just kind of like hold it while it dries. Now, let's see. I die cut a bunch of little, whatchamacallits here. You know what? I'm going to grab that wax paper that I was going to use for embossing, but I'm going to use that for gluing because I think I might want to glue some stuff onto the back side. I don't think I'll use this glue though, because I think that's a little bit overkill. So what I tend to do, if I know I'm going to want to like die cut some leaves or something like that, since it's a really popular motif, that's something I will cut a bunch of, and then so that way I have I'll have them for future projects. And I store them in these little CD pouches. You can get these. I got a package of like 500 on Amazon for and I got them for stamp and die storage, but they're kind of flimsy, so you do have to be careful. They're smaller than the Avery L. They're not as good a quality, but they're so inexpensive that that for what I'll just use them for little die cuts. I'll use them for like when I cut extra things. I do use them for stamps and dies, but I usually tape the edges if I do that because they are not as durable. Oh, by the way, see how this is nice and shiny? I used this stamp set here, and I used my pigment ink, my VersaFine Clear, to do the layering, and then I heat embossed it with just clear embossing powder, so it looks kind of like a store-bought thing. I can zoom in a little bit more, actually. So it looks kind of store-bought, so I kind of think that's kind of classy. What I wish I had done, I wish I had wrapped some thread there before I put that staple down. Oh well. Live and learn, friends. Live and learn. I think I don't want to cover up that. I could always pull it out. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just pull out the staple. So if you need to do that, you can do that. If you have one of these fascinators kicking around, you're like, oh, I think I want to use those. Well, you'll need to remove some at some point because, you know, I might even be able to put that back in too after I'm done. Might be able to poke it back through the hole. In fact, I think you probably could have gotten the staples. And do I want that color? I think I do want yellow. You could definitely have, I think, just bought the staples and poked the holes with a pokey tool and done it that way. But it was a gift, you know. I'll wrap this around a few times. I like to have something textured. Should adhere that with something. Now what I do, let me see if I can stick that back in there. I think that would look cool. Let me know in the comments below if you have a fascinator. I'd be fascinated to know. Ah, look at that. It's going to go right back in there, I think. I might have put it back in the opposite way, but I think that's not a problem. There we go. And then I'm going to glue. I think I might actually ink those up before I glue them down. So let me grab some ink. Actually, I could use the gelatos for that as well. I might use that wax paper for some gluing, so I don't want to get it all inky. Gelatos are now clear. They're now in a clear lipsticky type case. Mine are all like pretty old, and I mean that they do hold up all right, you know. A little brown, a little green. I got gel stick and gelato. I cannot tell the difference other than gelatos come in more fashionable colors. Gel sticks only come in like 18 colors, 6 metallics, 12 regulars. Other than that though, I cannot tell you the difference. Ew, I think that's pretty. I don't want to go too high in case I want to put that on a slimline card, but I think that is going to work nicely. I'm going to get some smaller glue, though. My trusty old Dollar Tree Elmer's. Actually, I like it because it's kind of matte. If I stick this on a card, it will be, it'll have adhesive behind it anyway, so I'll put more adhesive on it. And there we have it. There is our embellished, I'm going to call these trinket tickets. I think they're cute. Let me know what you think in the comments below. These were fun to make, and now I have all kinds of strips that I can make more with them, and they'll be beautiful embellishments. If you want to see a napkin decoupage tutorial, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, happy crafting.